Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast with your host, Dulgheru, aka the Solutionist. You are about to discover priceless insight, experiences, and perspectives that will inspire and empower you to break down your own obstacles and reprogram your own limiting beliefs. All while raising women business owners to the pedestal that has been long awaiting, the coronation of true principled women in business. Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast.
Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast. It's great to have you here for another episode. My name is Dulgheru, aka the Solutionist, and I am glad to have you with me. We're here at the podcast. We are talking about exposing, discovering solutions of what we're dealing with in our businesses. You know, what struggles, what obstacles, what experiences that we've had in our businesses. Because here's the reality. As much as we all really feel like we're an island, we were talking about this before, we're not. If we're going through a particular obstacle, a feeling, a struggle, an emotion, there's somebody else out there who's going through the same thing and is also feeling like an island. So here, the Principled Women in Business podcast is really meant to be a safe space where we can talk about these things and uncover solutions. I'm the Solutionist. I am the nation's #1 female business strategist. I help particularly women business owners to start, capitalize, grow, scale, and exit their businesses. Because ultimately when we exit, that is our biggest final payday, where all of our hard work, our emotions, our blood, sweat, and tears is gone. And that's our big culmination.
Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast.
So welcome to this week's show, and we have a very special guest with us, and we're going to be speaking about a topic in particular that is not only important to us in business, but in our daily lives, our personal lives. Everywhere we go, from the gas station to the grocery store to the pharmacy, and that is creating meaningful relationships where communities are connecting, where consumers are connecting with business owners who want to have an impact, who want to help grow and, increase their own socioeconomic lifestyle, because we're all in this together, whether or not we're business owners or whatever role we're really functioning in. And speaking about that and really bringing that into light is going to ultimately help us to unify. I'm part of, I don't know if you guys know, but I am part of the Empirenomics mission. And our mission in life is to elevate the socioeconomic lifestyle of humanity, to really bring an end to that struggle, to that hand-to-mouth experience where people don't know where their next paycheck is coming from. Maybe they're struggling with food, housing, or income of any sort. So our mission here, especially Empirenomics, the Principled Women Business podcast, the Solutionist, Total Solution Trust, we're all in this together to help each other as business owners, as communities, as consumers, and because we're here together. But without any further ado, those who are not watching us on video, there is a video portion of this that I want to allude to, and you can find that on YouTube. Of course, we're here on Anchor and Spotify, so there's plenty of places you can find us. And when I say us, I'm talking about Ms. Daisy Ramirez, the owner and founder of Village Connect. And her role, as I spoke earlier about, creating relationships and communication, is she's a connector herself. She connects small businesses with consumers so that, we really know that they have a presence in our communities, that they're here to help, that they're here to provide the products, the experience, and the lifestyle that so many of us are seeking but not able to find it, especially those chain stores. So Daisy, welcome to this week's episode. It's an honor to have you on. Please come on and introduce us. I'm sure that as much as I tried to do you justice, I'm sure you can do better.
Thank you very much, Lauren. It's been fun. Thank you so much. I am, just like you mentioned, I am the founder and owner of Village Connect, and we recently launched in August. And what Village Connect is, it's a business directory platform that allows our residents to find our local businesses a bit easier. And we have tons of search engines and other tools that are a bit larger that we can find our businesses in, but sometimes it's very difficult to find who's local and who's been supporting this community for years and years. And as residents, I think we have a responsibility to know who these folks are and to support local first. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I agree wholeheartedly, not only because, I'm a business owner myself, but because it comes down to that community aspect and really supporting those huge conglomerates isn't the community so much as it's a huge conglomerate's bottom line. And it doesn't have those relationships where we're going in and we work with these people, we see these people every time we come in. And I think that's the most magical part of patronizing small to medium-sized businesses. But tell us more about what kind of businesses are really featured on your directory, on your platform, and how would they go about getting on? Are there any qualifications? Tell us more about that.
Yes, we have about, I would say, over 85 categories of businesses. And that's the whole goal is to become a helpful tool to the residents in the area so that these local businesses are literally in the palm of our hands. We should not have to go through Facebook across multiple groups trying to find, a roofing company or a landscaper, So it pretty much crosses the full gamut. It's anyone who's in our 20-mile radius for the time being. As we learn how to implement this effectively, we're starting off with this 20-mile radius, and we're trying to capture literally all the businesses across the categories here in this area. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a business particularly that benefits, but they don't know yet that they would benefit?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say lots of the service providers that are working from home. We've got this the great resignation going on, right? I think that's the key term. And we've got a lot of folks that have kind of changed their perspective on things after COVID, so we're taking on new freelancing positions we're working from home more, we're trying to balance life a little bit better. And the folks that are working from home are those that we're looking for because they still provide very, very good services. These are professionals, in a lot of cases that are coming from corporate. And we want to, capitalize on those skills, and we'd love to know that they're here. So that's a category I'd say that across all, different industries that we're looking for.
Now, I want to talk about your why. Not particularly for two reasons, because we're talking about relationships and creating that unity and that community, but also the why that keeps you going, because starting as a startup, I remember as a startup that it can be difficult. And, I'm sure if you're anybody like me, there was those days where you're like, I'm just not in it today. I'm just not in it. So would you be, vulnerable and, talk to us more about your why? Because if it's you and me, I'm sure it's how many business owners out there, because those are those days where you were waking up and if I have to pick up that phone or if I have to, fill in the blank again. So could you tell us more about that? Would you?
Absolutely. And as you're explaining, how you've felt in the past, I'm just shaking my head because yes, it's difficult. It's my why. I think I've I've been a small business owner in the past. I've owned a software company, 15 years ago. I came from corporate. Um, and when you compare the two, the experience in small business is amazing. It's difficult, but it's so rewarding because you can see the immediate impact when you're working with small businesses. And as a small business owner, myself, um, it's the smallest thing that could make such a tremendous impact. You're not getting lost in the mix of a large corporation. Your voice is heard a great deal more because for the most part you're handling things on your own. You've got multiple hats going on, and I can relate to that. So when I'm talking to another fellow business owner and they're saying, I may not have the budget to be on the platform just yet, then I would say, then let's work something out. Let's see how we can get you some exposure, in another way. So maybe we can start to increase a little bit of activity. And then eventually, yeah, you will be able to not only, participate more on Village Connect, but on some other platforms too. And then let me bring those experiences to you. Let me bring you those platforms that are available, that are free. Let's find resources together that we can use, so that we can get some increased activity. But I think it's just the ability to relate to what it is that they're experiencing, knowing that I've been there. I know what it's like, and then trying to figure out how do we do this together so that we can both do well after we resolve, this temporary issue of you not getting a lot of activity as of right now. It's a blast. It's a total blast.
One model.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because we all started from somewhere. There was a very tiny percent who had that, they were born into that and they came into that. Most of us started from somewhere and we have a journey. And we feel alone on that journey, right? But until we start having platforms like this, then we start really realizing that, it might not be the exact same set of words, but it was a very similar series of emotions and impacts. And through that, when we talk about it, then we can really kind of unify and be like, okay, we're not alone. And we can talk about our why and really, feel that together. What do you
totally
think?
Agree.
What do you think?
Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast.
I'd love to be able to ask this question if you wouldn't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was those days where your why, you even questioned your why. What did you tell yourself, or how did you get through that questioning day? Let's call that a limiting belief day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was one of those limiting beliefs that really reared its ugly head. What was your process in getting through that, those particular days?
Oh yes, yeah, and they happen frequently, right? In a startup, it's because it's not the activity just isn't there fast enough. You really wanted to get off the ground. You want people to see what it is that you're doing, and then if it doesn't happen fast enough, then of course you start to second guess. Did I do the right thing? Did I invest the money correctly? And what gets me through that scenario is literally the last conversation that I had with a small business. And it just happened this week, where I do question, am I doing the right thing? Not only for myself, because I have a certain drive, but for my family, because this drains my family as well. If not financially, then maybe I'm not as accessible as I probably should be, because, as a working mom, we're supposed to be, helping out the kids with homework or what have you. And if I'm not there, this impacts them. But what does get me through literally is the last conversation that I had with the last small business who's trying to grow. And then I don't know what it is. I can't explain it, but it just makes me feel like, okay, then let's get to it. Let's see what we can do. And then all of a sudden now I get this little jolt of excitement that says, let's try this again, right? And that's what you need, is
spark again.
A little spark, and it comes from the businesses,
It comes from watching that growth. And you had two things that I'd love to be able to tangent off, because I'm always so very curious. Because I've come from a space of not only business growth, but debt and credit and consumerism and crypto.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, that you invested in your business. And one of the questions that I'm always interested in, because in reality, banks, big businesses have tricked us, and they've led us to believe that we have to finance only the way they talk about. And that generally includes us being a personal guarantor, using our retirement accounts, our cash savings. And I made those mistakes too, coming early up in business. I cleared out entire savings accounts. I used my retirement accounts very early on. So can I ask you, how did you first capitalize your business? And what did you experience after? Was that did you find that it was enough to keep you going? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Great question, because I actually happen to have a giant fail to report. We had sold our software company. I owned a software company in California, and I sold the company and invested, thousands of dollars into this concept, and had an external third party start to develop the platform. And we got a quarter of the way through, and I had already gone through my entire software budget and only had a quarter of the project complete. So I knew what the impact to my family was, and I said, I can't do it. We can't finish this platform. I was crushed because I had blown through this entire budget and didn't get the product that I was looking for. So that was my moment of complete depletion. I was a little bit depressed. I didn't know where to go. What was I going to do? The impact to the family. And I took 2 to 3 months to just kind of reset. And the project was, important enough to me to say, okay, what are my next steps? I had to teach myself how to code if I was going to get this thing off the ground. So I get on the computer, I start loading things on, applications. I start learning how to code. And so that's how I have the platform that I have right now. This is my first version, about as close to completion as possible. But I think they call it, it's an MVP, a prototype, but it's something that we can get to start working with to see how we can improve and get better. But, when my initial investment came from the sale of our software company, and but ongoing, it's personal, personal investment. It's what I'm making on with my consulting business. I reinvest into my, Village Connect business, so like you had mentioned, it's a lot of personal investment,
And, I guess it's more exposed, especially to me, because it's what I do, but that's why I love to share and teach, is if everybody, all business owners, all consumers knew that they could access all of the capital, all of the credit, everything they needed, just by creating this thing called the profile, then, we wouldn't have so many stories. We wouldn't have any stories like that.
Sure.
So that's one of the reasons why I get so passionate about teaching, credit, debt, consumerism, leverage, especially to business owners, is because, business owners, we have this elevated responsibility to not only take care of our own families, but we're responsible for those that are influenced by us, that work with us, that are contracted by us. And that's why we have such an impact on, so many lifestyles. And it's important for me to teach, how to avoid these various scenarios that I went through too. It always comes back to one of those things. We ask ourselves, if I had known what I know now, and tell myself that when I was 18, would I? There's always that portion of you that says yes, because you would have been where you wanted to be faster. But the reality of my story is, I honestly know. Because if I had told myself those things when I was 18, I wouldn't have gone on the journey, the adventure. I wouldn't have, had the feedback and the failure and, been able to learn those lessons to be the specialist that I am today and to really be able to help so many other people, is because you have to go through those things, right?
Yeah.
As much as we would love to say, darn, we want that shortcut. But in those types of things, and I don't think I could tell 18-year-old self.
Yeah.
But going back, so many of us have funded, using our personal funds. But like I say, one of my missions is really to expose and to show and to guide other business owners, other people to access this thing called credit, this thing called debt, and use it to their advantage, so they can create more streams of income, so they can have higher rates of return, so that they can have a higher level of socioeconomic status, all of their desires.
Right.
And
Right.
thank you so much for being open and sharing with me. In American society, that is certainly not dinner table talk.
You're right.
So
Right. Yeah. Isn't that the case? Yeah.
Thank you for, giving me permission to ask you about that. And the other trigger that you had said that spoke to me particularly is single momhood and being a business owner. It's not just you and me. Again, there's so many of us out here who are moms, single parents, even parents just in general, or guardians, whatever role you play in a child's life.
Yes.
It's a balancing act. It's, we have that business mask, we have that parent mask, and there's also that factor of, let me know if I'm wrong, guilt. And because I'm a mom, I'm going to say mom guilt.
Yes, definitely a
Right?
lot of mom guilt. Yes, you nailed
How
it.
do you work with that? What's your magic secret? Because again, coming back to relationships, we're talking to all of these business owners, customers, clients, vendors, families. That's where we have that balancing thing. So our relationships there, they need to be very meaningful in the time that we do have there. So what is your magic secret?
Well, the secret is that I do not have one. Right? I mean, I just like what does help, of course, is the conversation with you. Like you had mentioned, we are not alone. I work with so many women that are in the same shoes, and I happen to be married, so, but he has his own career as well. But I think you kind of know the role that mom plays. That's a big role. And my rule of thumb is my son is number one. I do put deadlines aside. I do put projects aside when he's available. Now he's a teenager now. So when he's available, I need to be available. But now, of course, that impacts us on the other side, right? When it's time for them to go to bed, that's when our shift begins. So we tend to run ourselves quite ragged, right? Because we're either getting up earlier or staying up late in order to meet those deadlines to get to the next level. But as you mentioned, we only have them around for so long. And I think my son is going to be a traveler. I think as soon as it's time, he's gone. He's just going to be out, checking out the world, I think. So, and I'm very much aware of that, but I think it's also important that they see us in this full ambitious drive, full forward mode, because it's important that they see that what hard work can bring us, So if you were able to go to dinner a couple more times per week, guess why? It's because mom was up late that night getting that one project done. Now, I happen to talk to my son a lot about business, about, hey, this is a challenge that I'm having, so he's in tune with what's happening. So I think it's important that, we keep things into perspective. What's important, of course, is them. But I think they do kind of need to see us, work hard and struggle a little bit and then, thrive thereafter. that's huge for them to see.
I like to call it the feedback loop, because it's, even though we've been taught to use the word failure, right? It's not really failure until you don't get up again. There's only one occasion in which it's failure. On every other occasion, it's just feedback. So it's a feedback loop.
Yep.
And I particularly like to teach my son, like, okay, we're gonna adapt. This is a new contract. This is a brand new blueprint, a new solution that we're working on, a new cryptocurrency that we're looking into. How do we have to adapt and change to look at it so we can get the full objective view?
Yes.
And one of my biggest focuses, of mom education is, thinking better and having a better mindset, and really being able to focus on what's happening within him internally. Because I know that, our thoughts are so very important to what we're experiencing in, our entire reality, our mental health, our external, everything that we're thinking of. Our thoughts are so very important. And I want him to be able to tap into that benefit before he's my age. So I really focus on, okay, that wasn't the best thing that could have happened, but we're going to shift it this way, and we're going to change it around, and it's going to work out, and we can flip-flop that some way, somehow. And I think the idea of change, your son, he's an adventurous, he's a travelist guy, and I am too, so I can appreciate that. And I love change. I like the change of language, the change of scene, the change of everything. I thrive very much on that. And business, it suits me so perfectly, because businesses are just like individuals. There is no business that's the same from the next. And then once we get down to an individual level, now that's putting that to exponential variable. And that to me is fun, because I just love to be able to see all things new and to have those experiences with so many different types of people.
I agree. Yeah, it's such a tremendous experience. Momhood, it's such a big role. Just it's so important, that we, display what it is that they are going to be experiencing, and how to get through
anything to make their life easier, right? It's not just, living the lifestyle now, but making their lives easier when they're our age.
Right. Exactly.
Just helping them with those processes, like the things I wish I knew then. We can help them out with mindset now.
Completely agree.
Relationships with our family, with our clients. Tell our audience, tell us more about your perfect mastery tricks to bringing together business owners and clients. What do you tell each to kind of bridge that gap, that they can find each other and create that meaningful bond?
What the getting to know the businesses, I think, is probably the key thing. You had mentioned it too. Just understanding and listening, because we've all been through this tremendous experience, unprecedented to me, in my lifetime, have we never experienced anything like this, so I think that the initial conversation is a lot of listening, because there's a lot to get out. These businesses have pivoted, to an nth degree, and to me, that's impressive. I want to be around those that have done that. We want to learn from that. And as I'm listening, educating residents and the folks that we want to use these businesses on what it is that they went through, and understanding the importance of us supporting local. So we know the stat that's rolling around already, that about 52 cents out of every dollar that we spend on a local business stays in the community. If you go to a larger business, that's about 14 cents. So educating residents to know, listen, this, if we're supporting local, we're supporting our neighbor, we're supporting our best friend. It could be our sister, or our mom or our dad. That's who we're supporting. So when those dollars stay back in our community, well, that only, improves everything else in the community. So sharing that information back and forth, is kind of key to letting the residents understand why. Yes, we know we have to do it, but why? Well, this is the why. And then, of course, from the business point of view, if we can help them get some of that activity first, it makes them more efficient. Reoccurring businesses or reoccurring business that's closer to home obviously makes things more cost effective for the business. There's not, gas is ridiculous right now. If they can increase their activity with local businesses, then that reduces their costs. So sharing that information eventually after getting to know both sides, is I think is key. But most community members know a small business owner. They're our kids are going to be growing, or what is it? Our kids are going to be working at these places. So when my son gets to be a teenager, I want to know that Joe down the street is trustworthy. I know that he's there, that he can help me raise my son, in a way that is as a good role model. This is the community that we're building. We're building, strength in this community by doing this and educating one another, on this process.
Question for you. Do you guys organize in-person like events or carnivals or food truck type of events that gets everyone together, maybe that we could announce now? Maybe you're planning something on down the road.
Yes, great idea. We had a holiday catalog over the holidays, and that was great. We had about 1,500 folks visiting our catalog for local businesses when they can search anywhere else. But we're just getting started on some events for this year. The first one is going to be May 7th, and it's a Balance Wellness Expo. And we're going to have it here off of Moss Park Road at the Spring of Life Church. And we're presenting at least 15 small businesses, and we're going to get started that way. And it's health and wellness. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. And it's yoga, it's meditation, it's spa. As I mentioned, there's a lot going on mentally for everyone. And I think it's a good time for us to start to adjust to getting back out, to getting around folks, a lot more, to celebrating life a lot more. And so I'm one of many. There's quite a few businesses or organizations in this area that are doing, events like this, but it's important. We have to really represent the businesses that are here that are have persevered, and they're still here. They're amazing.
Not be afraid to reach out for help.
Absolutely.
I think that, when I was a small business owner, I'm just going to throw this out there. I would have rather had someone who, even if you weren't going to buy my product, even if you had a question, call me. I want to answer your question, because I wanted to be that trusted advisor. If you're going to call me and ask me a question, yes, I've got you. How can I help? What are we solving? Tell me all about it. So, and I want to say that aloud to the listeners, like, even if maybe you're not ready to make a shift, perhaps, let's just say off situation, perhaps you're not ready to make a shift, or you want to start testing out the waters with a new place and you're just not sure, ask them a question. They would be tickled to answer your question. Small to medium-sized businesses, they love talking to people.
They love it. Yeah, they love it, especially community members, that where they know that it's a neighbor that's trying something new. And we would love to draw them out. Let's talk. Let's see what's the challenge.
Exactly.
Let's see if I know someone, maybe I know someone that could help you. And in this experience that I've had with all of these businesses, I do know already that one business is looking for a kitchen to work, because she in this area, it's hard to get rental space, but she's looking for a kitchen. So the other business that I know that I spoke to recently, well, they have a kitchen. So
Perfect.
let's see if we could make something work that way, or how do we, tons of opportunities we have to work together to just elevate the experiences and the businesses that we have right here. And so if
Yes.
I can be that connector, if I can be the sounding board, I'm all in. It's just so much fun. So
The
much fun.
solution matchmaker.
Mhm.
There you
Right. Yeah.
go. The
Right. Yeah.
solution matchmaker. And it's important for people to hear about that too, because how many things are we all going through? And a lot of times they are overwhelming, maybe
Mhm.
completely measurable, and completely throw you off your game.
Mhm.
Reach out, start talking to people, ask questions. There is a solution to the problem.
There is.
Promise. There
Mhm.
is a
There is.
solution to the problem. And when you're talking to the solutionists, myself, or the master of Village Connect, then you can start really getting out, and you don't have to necessarily know 1,000 people, but you know
Mhm.
1,000 people if you talk to a couple of people. You don't have to know
Mhm.
them personally. And that's the magic of having, that trusted advisor.
Mhm.
Really, being able to be vulnerable to the point where, this other business owner has gone through some things. We've seen some
Mhm.
things. You can't unhear some things type of
Mhm.
things.
Right.
And we're all in it together. It's a unique perspective, but there's some things. Let me know when I'm wrong.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that you opened up with me today on the Principled Women in Business podcast, because that's one of the things that's so important to me to not only expose within myself, but also share with others in my own journey, that I've learned that by talking with other people, by sharing with other people, not only am I going to, be able to formulate solutions, but I'm going to find other businesses to work with. I'm going to find other
Mhm.
experts, other advisors, friends, acquaintances, and the magic and the sheer diversity of people and personalities astounds me, and that gets me going. That's one of my whys, is to be
Oh
able
yeah.
to have that change and have that variance to be able to experience.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I must thank you for coming on and being here with me today. I do have one final question, and I don't want you to throw you off, but I do ask it because it does kind of throw you off. If there was
Mhm.
one question that you wanted me to ask you today, what would it have been? And how would you have answered?
Oh wow. Yes, you threw me off with that question. One question that I would have liked to be asked. Um, okay. Maybe capability, let's say. And this is something that we all struggle with as well, is um,
The imposter
why,
syndrome.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How and why is it that you feel capable of pulling this off? I think is the question, because this is what we struggle with daily is, do I even know what it is that I'm doing? Do I have this experience to do this? And then I really do coach myself into saying, yes, you do. You do. You have 25 years of operational business, corporate, small business experience that you will use every day in every which way. Every corner of what you've learned is being used today and moving forward on every conversation you have, on every business connection you make. This is what we're drawing from, and so everyone has that. Everyone has this level of experience. It may not be in accounting, it may not be in marketing, but it's something, and it's in there, so when we combine folks together, we get the best of all worlds, right?
I
And I
love
think that
that
was the question.
I
Mhm.
love that you highlighted that.
Mhm.
Um, you're right. That is definitely not an island experience. I want to say we all go through that. There's
Yep.
sometimes where I know better, but there's
Mhm.
still that small doubty voice somewhere back here that is like, yeah, really? Yeah, ladies, gentlemen, y'all are not alone. We all are
Mhm.
going through this at some
Yeah.
level. At least myself, there's definitely some masters out there. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
quite a few of them, but I know I know where I came from. I know my experience. I know my journey.
Mhm.
There's no good reason for me to actually feel that way, right?
Mhm. Right.
But there's
Right.
still that that nagging voice, and there
Yes.
is that coaching process there. They say affirmations, but
Mhm.
coming along with that is believing it
Mhm.
and saying it with belief and dignification and gusta,
Mhm.
they're female.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I love that you brought that up. And
Mhm.
I hear all the time from, clients and business owners that, the imposter syndrome it's not a unique situation.
Mhm.
I don't even want to say that even slightly a small percentage of people are, going through those very thoughts, those very feelings and emotions that, towards a majority. So let's talk about that. If
Mhm.
that's something that's an obstacle for your business, how are we going to create a solution? Let's
Right.
create
Right.
a blueprint so that you're not only seeing how you're not an imposter, you're a master at
Mhm.
what you do, but
Mhm.
there's something else missing somewhere that's got you in this mindset.
Yeah.
What is that solution? Because that'll fix this one. um, coming down to scaling your business. What is that portion in your business that's got you thinking like you can't do this?
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
something happening in your business somewhere that's got you doubting yourself.
Sure.
So we want to be able, we want to identify that
Mhm.
and create a blueprint, create a solution, a plan, a path that's going to get you to resolve that
Mhm.
in the shortest timeline possible,
Right. Right.
because it's all about results.
Yes.
And everyone has a different idea of results and different stages of it, because once you achieve one, you're going to elevate to the next. So there's
Mhm.
it's a stair, it's a phase, a series of phases.
Mhm.
What results are we going to first? Let's isolate what that problem is and let's create the result. And I love that you do that with small to medium-sized businesses in a beautiful community. I love Lake Nona area.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm so glad
It's
you came on.
amazing.
It is truly beautiful. When I
Mhm.
first moved to Orlando and I drove through that, I was like, oh, this is really pretty.
Mhm.
Okay.
And it's
Okay.
growing so
That was
much.
one of my
Yes.
favorite areas. Yeah.
Mhm.
How funny that we're both in Orlando.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were, yeah, farther away as well, but that's awesome. Yeah. We have to get together for lunch.
I look forward to it.
Mhm.
So, in wrapping up, thank you for, being with me and really being vulnerable and exposing with all of us, not only your version of the obstacle, but the things that we've all gone through, are going through, or may have yet to have gone through. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the fact that you were vulnerable and open, it was an honor, and thank you.
Thank
So
you.
everyone listening, I've been speaking here to Miss Daisy Ramirez with the Village Connect platform, where she's connecting business owners and individual consumers in Lake Nona, the 20-mile radius, right? Lake Nona proper, correct?
Mhm. That's correct.
So if you're in Lake Nona, make sure that you're checking out Village Connect. And for those businesses who, are in Lake Nona area, make sure that you're getting listed on with her. If you are not yet a member of the Principled Women in Business Facebook or LinkedIn groups, but you're hearing us here today, I don't know how that happened. So make sure that you are becoming a member over in Facebook and LinkedIn, the Principled Women in Business. And I also have a group there where we talk about a lot of, obstacles, problems, or perceived problems that we're going through on a personal, like individual level, like more of a Dear Abby type of thing instead of Dear Business Abby, where we're talking about over here in the PWIB podcast. So make sure that you're hitting the subscribe and getting into those groups there. Subscribe on YouTube. You'll get the video portion to our podcast here. We are on Anchor, Spotify. I am Lauren Dulgheru, also known as the Solutionist, here with Ms. Daisy Ramirez today with Village Connect. And it has been a pleasure speaking with you more today about relationships and how to create those connections that are so meaningful, not only as business owners to customers, but as human to human, because as I spoke at the top of the call here, we're really in this together. And the more we can know and support about each other, both business owners and just regular customers, better quality experience that we're going to have in our communities, both in our own families and when we see each other at business. So Daisy, thank you so much for being here with me today. It was a profound honor. If you are a business owner out there and you would like to uncover more solutions about any problems or situations that your business is currently going through, let's talk about that on the podcast here, the Principled Women in Business podcast. You can reach out and DM me and send me an email, and we can get that arranged and really uncover some solutions and solve some problems for you. Let's get it done. So until next time, thank you, everyone.
And that wraps up another episode of the Principled Women in Business podcast. Follow us on social media to never miss an episode and to unlock full access to your trusted business solution center. Find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, and YouTube. Till next time, stay strong and keep crushing. Find us at laurendulgheru.me or call 407-337-1117.